It is the year 1754. The once great empire Moravia is in rapid decline. The emperor has died, and upon his death has named his niece Juliet to be empress and carry on the name of the House of Zeppenstein. Though there is much doubt in the empire to her accession, she has promised to make Moravia great once again. She has now raised up and restructured the armies of Moravia and has marched her armies to annex lands lost to her empire in the free kingdom of Dunderland. Moravia's old rival, the kingdom of Brautenheim, has not stood idle, however. When hearing of the unlawful annexation, King Karl von Kilmer II has mobilized his forces to meet the empire on the field. Karl von Kilmer knows he may use this as an excuse to gain some territory of his own if he frees the people of Dunderland. The First War of Dunderland has begun. Yo, what is happening, guys? It's GM Cody. Welcome back to another video this week. And this week, we are kicking off my Imaginations campaign, the First Dunderland War. And you might be going, Cody, what the hell is an Imaginations? Well, I'm about to tell you. So Imaginations is a very old concept in wargaming, right? This goes all the way back, to the very beginnings of wargaming as a hobby in the 60s and 70s with fellows like Charles Grant and Donald Featherstone and Tony Bath and Peter Young and these guys. And the whole concept is basically that you are fighting wars in an imaginary place that you make up, but probably loosely based on a period of history and time, okay? And so I've always been very fascinated by this concept, and I decided that I was going to do this myself, and got really enthused by doing this from watching videos from Henry Hyde. Now, if you're not familiar with Henry Hyde, go check out his YouTube channel. I'll link it down below, specifically like a 2-hour video with him talking about his imaginations. Henry Hyde's a really good guy. He's a very prominent guy in England in the historical wargaming community. He used to be the editor of Battle Games magazine, and he has a podcast called Battle Chat, which is really good if you're interested in miniature wargaming. But anyways, he kind of inspired me to actually go through with doing an Imaginations campaign. And my Imaginations campaign is based in the 18th century, mid-18th century. Loosely around the time, like the war, like the 7 Years' War was taking place, and it kind of emulates that, right? I'm definitely going off the classic kind of Charles Grant theme here between my two imaginary nations, Brautenheim and the Empire of Moravia. And they are fighting over the Dunderland. The Moravians have decided they want to annex back the Dunderland for themselves because it was once part of their empire, and Brautenheim has decided that they're going to take it for themselves, but do it in the name of freeing the Dunderland from the Moravians, right? And maybe take the Dunderland into their fold if they are able to do so. So that's basically what the campaign's all about, and I was going to do this campaign solo, but my really good friend, oldest and dearest friend, Andrew, was like, hey, I'll play with you. So I was like, yeah. So he's going to play with me, actually. And we were playing the battles on Tabletop Simulator. And the rules we were using to adjudicate the battles, we were using Black Powder by Warlord Games to do the land battles. This is written by none other than Rick Priestley of, Rogue Trader 40K fame, that, the guy that wrote the original version of 40K and versions of also worked on Warhammer Fantasy, and also by Jervis Johnson, another very well known and prominent Games Workshop alumni. This is a good set of rules. It's fun and fast and furious, and I like it for what it is. I wouldn't usually play this if I was playing like a historical battle, but these rules have kind of grown on me, and I quite like them now the more I play it. It's not very historical at all, but it's fun and it's fast, and that's definitely what me and Andrew need for this campaign. And then for the naval battles, we decided to also tack on naval engagements. We're using Black Seas by Warlord Games And this also, even though I've only played one game of this so far, this is also a really good, really fun, fast game. The kind of fun you would expect from Warlord games. I really like their stuff overall. It's not hyper realistic or simulationist, but it's a lot of fun. So it works perfect for what we're doing here. So without further ado, let's jump into it and discuss the rules of the campaign and look at the maps and the opening moves. What's happened so far in the first war of the Dunderland. So first off, we're going to look at my campaign rules. Now, I did write out some campaign rules because I felt like we needed some rules clear rules to say how a campaign turn is going to work. Now, one turn in the campaign equals roughly a week, and the smallest units that we are dealing with is a regiment. Okay, and in Black Powder, you have each of your units is a regiment, whatever that equates to, right? And is made up between 3 and 5 stands or so is what we're going with. So that kind of gives you an idea. So a campaign turn, the way this works is each of the campaign turns are simultaneous. We both go through this step list simultaneously. We make our moves, then we reveal our moves on the map, and then we resolve whatever happens in between there. So the first thing we do in a turn is check for supply. Now, I did include supply rules, but that doesn't mean that there's any kind of, it's not, real hardcore or anything. But basically, you just have a clear route to get supplies to your columns. If you don't, if your supplies are cut off, you could suffer from attrition. You can suffer from attrition from supplies, or from bad weather is possible too. And essentially what you do is you roll a die on a roll of a 1. A unit will lose 1 stand as attrition. This will increase by +1 for every turn that a unit cannot draw supply, etc., etc. So there is attrition, there is supply, but it's very loosey-goosey. And again, this is kind of a living document that I'm adding to and evolving as we play the campaign, and probably in the next campaign it'll be even better. So the next thing that happens is random events. So both of us roll a d6. On a roll of 5+, a random event happens. Now, some of these random events can occur for everybody, like weather. And I did include weather in here as a random event instead of just rolling for that separately. Or it could be a good or bad random thing, such as slow down, like bad road conditions or a traffic jam or partisans attacking you. Scouting reports, so you can scout out enemy units. Bad weather, of course. Light-footed, which is kind of the opposite of slow down. You're actually sped up a little bit, maybe because the road conditions are better, or a local showed you a better way to go through the land or whatever. And the last one is support. So your country has either raised some new troops or new general. You choose, and you get new troops or a new general. So that's the second thing that happens is random events. Third thing that happens in a turn is transfer and consolidate troops. So if you have some units that got beat up in the last battle, you can combine those together to make bigger, stronger regiments. And you can also transfer regiments between other columns. So that's the next thing you do. And then there's movement. So this is where you actually make your moves on the map. Now, infantry move 12 movement points, cavalry move 18 movement points, and terrain will affect movement. Roads are 1 for 1, hills are 2 for 1. Woods off-road are 2 for 1, off-road is 2 for 1, and these stack together. So if you're off-road in the hills, that's 4 for 1, right? And then the next thing that happens is a battle. So if 2 units cross paths or bump into each other, a battle will occur, and I am kind of playing the role of referee, even though I'm a player here. So I'm kind of, making a judgment call where the battle would actually occur and how the battle would be set up, and coming up with a scenario in the battlefields and all that stuff. So that's basically all the campaign rules, right? I wanted to make it pretty fast and easy, but have a little bit of meat on the bones. But it's not complicated at all. It's very free flowing, very much like a role playing game, right? So the next thing we're going to look at is the actual map. So I'm going to go back to turn 1 here. So this is the first turn, and this is the land of Dunderland Empire of Moravia and the Kingdom of Brautenheim. And so we both set up our armies in at least 3 columns. And originally I planned on the Moravians to start down here in these border towns, but they decided to set up here in these fortresses in the center. And I should state that these bigger areas here, so like the circles that are filled in the center are cities. The circles that are hollow in the center are towns, and if they are red, that means they have a fortress within that town or city. So Andrew set up here, and I was like, okay, we're just going to roll with that. So he set up 3 columns, his 3 columns in these 3 cities here in the center of Dunderland. And me, I really didn't have a choice. I had to place a column in Lotz, Arnsberg, and Mengerhausen. So I split my army into actually more than 3 columns. It was 3, 4, 5, and that's because my strategy was to break up my cavalry to scout ahead. Now I can't speak from Andrew's strategy, but I will show his moves, of course. But I will discuss my strategy and my thinking in the first moves of the campaign here. So turn number 1, what I planned on doing first off was my main columns were A, C, and D, and these were all made up of several infantry regiments and artillery and generals, of course, and whatnot. Basically around like a division apiece. And my plan was to reunite A and C together in Arnsberg. And then B was actually a cavalry detachment. I broke my cavalry up into my cavalry corps into 2 detachments, and the first cavalry detachment was going to scout ahead and see what this column here in Krutzen was. And I had another infantry division here and another cavalry detachment, and they were going to scout ahead to see what this column was in Rheinshold. And I thought, my thinking was, I was gambling that Andrew was just going to stay in his fortifications at least until I moved and see what I did. Of course, that was not to be. And I was going to try to really, gather together the biggest force I could at the beginning of the game. But that was not to be. So what happened was, this was turn 1. So Andrew decided he was just going to go on the offensive as I was going on the defensive at the same time, and I really wasn't expecting that. So the first thing I did, like I said, I combined these 2 columns together here in Arnsberg. My cavalry detachment moved way out here to scout ahead. My cavalry detachment here was going to move ahead and see what was in Rheinshold, and I moved this whole infantry division up here in Ernstwald, and was hoping to reunite, or I don't really know what I was hoping to do there. This was actually a big mistake on my part, moving out here. But Andrew went for the kill here and moved up into my cavalry. So we'll start here. So what happened is my cavalry was riding into Rheinshold and bumped into this infantry column, and basically bumped into his cavalry scouts that were leading the column. And so we made some rolls here. It was just a little cavalry skirmish. We didn't play it out or anything. We just rolled some dice. And basically my cavalry was able to gain some information about what this column consisted of. And basically it was a whole division. And I retreated back, my cavalry back to Mengerhausen, and realized that I had a whole division on the borders of Brautenheim now. In the meantime, this whole infantry division moved here. Andrew moved this division up to Fleischermetz, and I moved my cavalry up, and I was not able to scout this turn, but I got close to him. And then he moved this other division up here to Molden. I didn't mark it on the map, but we do have naval fleets, and my naval fleet is here in Wasser, and his is in Middendorf. And I moved my fleet from Wasser. He did not move his fleet, and I moved it all the way down here to Molden. So that was the moves of the Navy. Now the Navy really can just move anywhere in the water, because basically each hex is 5 miles. So they in a week they can pretty much move anywhere they want on this map. So I didn't really worry about giving movement points for ships, because they could just pretty much move freely wherever they want. But that is what happened in the first turn. So on the second turn, I realized I made a critical mistake here. And so I quickly marched this infantry division back to Mengerhausen. In the meantime, Andrew besieged the city of, or the town of Mengerhausen. Now, I didn't mark it, but Mengerhausen does have a fortification on it. We just made that call because it is on the border of Brautenheim, so I would assume there's a fortification there. So we have a battle here between the beleaguered cavalry here in Mengerhausen. Of course, also because it is a fortification, there will be some like militia units there. So I'll start off with a couple militia units and my cavalry being besieged by this whole infantry division, drastically outnumbered. But hopefully, you know, this other division here can come to the rescue. And so this will be a really dramatic battle to fight out. And then on my turn, I reunited my cavalry here because I bumped into Andrew's forces moving into Elsbrick with my cavalry and realized that this is a whole, you know, freaking division here moving in, a pretty big one. So I retreated them back as my infantry columns were moving down here, and they reunited, and we're going to bump into each other here. So we're going to have a battle here in Elsbrick, and me and Andrew are actually going to play this battle out this coming Sunday. So this will be the first, well, technically, actually, the second battle we're going to fight. And I'll talk about that here in a second. And then the second move Andrew made is he moved this infantry division up here to Loweir. And now I have a clear idea because I've scouted these units out what they actually contain. He kind of knows what I have on the map now, so it's not really a secret anymore, even though we don't know fully the full composition. Like especially this one, I'm not sure the full composition of this division here. Meanwhile, my navy in Molden decided to make an attack on his big port here in Middendorf. And I just kind of made a narrative up that because his infantry was in Molden, they gave warning to the fleet in Middendorf, and they set out. As the fleet was setting out, the two fleets were going to run into each other here. But and this was actually the first battle we fought, was a naval encounter. We played this out last night. I did record it, and I will post it up here on the channel. I'm going to be recording all the videos. If I didn't say it already, we're playing all the battles with Tabletop Simulator. So I would love to play with miniatures, but unfortunately Andrew lives thousands of miles away, so we have to settle for, you know, playing on Tabletop Simulator. But I am recording the battles, and we'll be doing battle reports. And I recorded that battle last night. Now I decided, since we have not played Black Seas before, that I didn't want to have a big, huge fleet engagement. And decided that what happened here is that a storm broke out here in the sea, and so the fleets were actually broken up and separated. And so the engagement we had last night was only like half of our fleet, like 2 or 3 ships apiece, and it was late morning, and they were trying to get back to, you know, gather their fleets together, and these two flotillas ran into each other and had a little bit of engagement on their way to reuniting with the rest of the fleet. So look forward to that battle report, maybe coming up this weekend, or, you know, maybe early next week. So, and that's as far as we've gotten. So we have 3 battles. Well, we've fought 1 out of the 3 battles we have to fight so far, and we're only 2 weeks into, you know, the first war of the Dunderland campaign. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this overview so far, the first couple turns of the Dunderland War, our Imaginations campaign. I will continue to be doing updates on this. Of course, also, you know, don't despair. This is not going to distract me from doing other videos like reviews and stuff. So look forward to that. And also, I got some, you know, I've had some people requesting me to do some other types of videos, like giving my takes on how I run games and stuff like that. And I might do that. It's not really my favorite thing to do unless I have other people to discuss it with, but I might do that. I don't know. I am thinking about it, doing some other types of videos. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good week. We'll see you next time. Peace.